We're starting a new unit on Pythagorean Theorem. Your unit essential question is going to be what are ways to engage and express knowledge and application of the Pythagorean Theorem. We're going to find out what the Pythagorean Theorem is, how to apply it to real life, all kinds of things with it as we go through the lesson. The first thing you need to do, as I've given you an example here, you are going to create this frayer. There's only 3 vocabulary words, but what you're going to do is you're going to actually take, for example, leg. We're talking about Pythagorean theorem, the leg of the triangle. You're going to come up with a definition in your own words. Don't give me what a textbook says or what Khan Academy says as far as the specific, but put it in your own words here. And then in this box, what you're going to do, you're going to take and just list some facts and characteristics of what it is. On this, in this part where it says examples, give me some examples. And of course, this last one, just have a little fun with it. But draw a picture or a cartoon in this last box having to do with the vocabulary word. Again, there's only 3 that I'm going to really deal with Pythagorean theorem right now, and that's leg, right triangle, and hypotenuse. You are going to do 3 separate frayers, 1 for each term. And you're actually going to turn those in. If you want, you can do it digitally. It's completely up to you. I will put a place where you can submit it online to make it as pretty as you want to and as fancy as you want to. That'll be just fine. Or again, you can draw this on some of the colored paper that I have over to the side. Either way. Alright, but let's in this case go ahead and pause the video now and go ahead, and that's the first thing you're going to do before we actually get into the lesson. And then we're going to create a 3D foldable. You guys, I'll give you instructions on that to give you a visual. Alright, so the first thing I want to deal with, what is the process involved in finding the length of the hypotenuse of a right triangle? Well, in our activator, we actually, we watched the Darth Vader explains the Pythagorean theorem, and we picked out certain things that we knew. So the first thing we know here is when I look at this one, we know just by watching that, we know that the hypotenuse is the longest side. So I know the hypotenuse, and I'm just going to abbreviate. We know it's the longest. And it is also, the hypotenuse is always C in this case. A and B, the legs, again, the legs actually form the right angle. So when you look at this right triangle here, you see the right angle here, the legs, which is this line here and this line here, they actually form the right angle. It doesn't matter. This is going to be A and B. It doesn't matter which one you put as A, which one you put as B. In the big picture, 3 plus 2 is the same thing as 2 plus 3. So as we're looking at this, just a few things that we actually picked up on. The formula for Pythagorean theorem, A squared plus B squared equals C squared. Now, if we know that, we're in business. If we can remember A and B, legs, C, hypotenuse. So in this case, now let's apply this. So we know that the hypotenuse is the longest angle. So here we're given 2 measurements. We're given this measurement and we're given this measurement. Look, that creates the right angle. So I know this is a leg, this is a leg. A and B. So I can say 2 squared plus 2 squared, A squared plus B squared equals C squared. I'm not given the measurement of the hypotenuse. So now I just go back and remember my order of operations. 2 squared, which is 4, plus 2 squared equals C squared. 4 plus 4, 8 equals C squared. Now, I'm not done here. I do have one other thing that I have to do. I've got to find the square root of both of these. So actually, a couple different ways you can do this. Some people will actually just go ahead and do it this way, kind of put everything under the square root sign, or some will wait till the end and just take the square root. Now if I want to take that square root, I want to simply say, okay, this, you can actually put this one in your calculator. I have no problem with that, because it's definitely one you're not going to get a perfect square there. So let's go the square root of 8, and you're actually going to get 2 and it's on decimal, so we're going to round it to the nearest tenth. So you're actually going to come up with 2.8 equals C. So I'm going to go up here. The length is 2.8. Again, the legs make up the right angle, and the hypotenuse is the longest, and it's also always going to be C. So in this case now, what I want you to do, after seeing this and after listening, I'm going to go back. I've given you another problem here. Again, you're given A and B, but you're not given C. Pause, work this out, and then I'll walk you through it and we can check it. That way you can see if you're on track or not. Alright, as you look at this, if you comparing it to what you did, I know this is my A and B. So I'm going to go, I like to start with the lowest one here if it's A and B. So I'll go 9 squared plus 12 squared is going to equal C squared. Well, 9 squared, 81, plus 12 squared, which is 144, equals C squared. Well, when I just add 81 plus 144, I'm going to come up with 225, which equals C squared. Take the square root of 225, and when I do that, I'm going to get 15. So in this case, I'm going to go back over here. The missing length there is 15. Another practice one. I want you to practice doing this again. Go ahead and pause the video and work this out, and then we'll compare. That way you can see where you went wrong, or you can see, hey, I've got this and I'm ready to roll. Alright, now let's compare what you did to what I do in this case. So here I've got A and B. Again, I have the two the lines that make up the right angle. Even though, yeah, if you notice all the triangles, it's turned all kinds of different ways. But if you see that it's a right angle, it doesn't matter which way it's turned. So in this case, I know my legs that make up the right angle. I have 7 squared plus 8 squared equals C squared. 49 plus 64. So that's going to give me 113. So if I want to find the C, I've got to take the square root of 113, and that's going to give me a nice decimal. I'm just going to round it to the nearest tenth, so I'll get 10.6. Again, if you ever do this and it's less than these two, then there's a problem. Alright, so as I look at this now, I know, again, this is going to be 6 squared plus 6 squared, because I'm still looking for the hypotenuse, equals C squared. 6 squared, 36, plus 36 equals C squared. Again, 36 plus 36, you're going to get 72. 72 equals C squared. Remember, don't forget that last step. Take the square root of 72. And when I do that, I'm going to get another long decimal. In this case, right now, we're going to just keep on leaving it in this form. So C is going to equal 8.5. Because you actually come up with 8.48, and I just rounded up to the nearest tenth. So in this case, 8.5 again is your hypotenuse. And as you've worked through these guys, if you are starting to nail them, that is awesome. If not, go back and to the very first slide where I actually explained each step, and you may want to rewatch that. Because now, as you go through, if you've got a good understanding of how to find the hypotenuse, now I'm going to switch it around a little bit. What if you're given the hypotenuse? So what is the process involved in finding the length of a leg of a right triangle using the Pythagorean theorem? So I switched up. Now you have the hypotenuse. You have a leg, but you don't have the other leg. So we've got to change this around a little bit. There's really nothing major to this. I remember my formula, a squared plus b squared equals c squared. Alright, so as I continue here, all I'm really going to do, actually, I want you to make a prediction. Kind of have in your head, what do you think you're actually going to do to this? Go ahead and work this out, make the prediction, work it out what you think, and then we're going to compare to what reality is. So go ahead and just using your prior knowledge, work this out. Take about 2 or 3 minutes, work it out, and actually see what you come up with, and then we'll work it out. Alright, so you should, by now, you should have an answer down, just something what it would look like. Let's look at now what we're actually to do. Again, I know these are my legs. So I know it says B here, so I can say that 9 would be my A. So I know 9 squared plus, I don't know B. There's my variable. All I'm going to do, plug in b squared equals my hypotenuse, because that's my c, 15 squared. So now I essentially have just a couple step equation here, or actually one step here. So let's just take okay, so I know 9 squared, 81, plus b squared equals 15 squared, and it's going to be 225. So I really haven't done a whole lot different than what I have been doing, except here now I want to get b by itself. So go ahead, just like in a regular equation, subtract 81 from this side, minus 81 from that side. B squared equals, what, 225 minus 81, and I get 144. Again, I'm not done here. So, because 144 would definitely be a lot bigger than the actual hypotenuse. Don't forget to take the square root of 144, which equals 12. So I know the measurement is going to be 12. Okay, what I'm going to do is I want you to work this one out, and here in just a couple minutes I'm going to go ahead and I'll just show you the answer. And if you get it wrong, what I want you to do is go back and focus on method. What did you do wrong? But go ahead and pause and work this one out. So in this case, after you actually plugged it into your formula, you should have come up with the measurement of 8. If you did not come up with that, here's what I'm challenging you to do. Go back, look through your method. I'm not going to explain this one right now because I want you to focus on self-analysis, focus on your methods. Was it a simple mistake? Was it something that you just forgot to do, or what? Anytime, again, if you have questions throughout this, you can throw them up on today's meet, and we will talk about them right there in class while we're working on it. So again, here's another practice one. I want you to work this one out and see what you get. Alright, what you should come up with is 5.3. If you come up with 5.3, we're in great shape. If not, then we need to rework it again. Okay, this is just another practice. Again, I want you to get plenty of practice because we are going to start applying this, and we're focusing on method. But go ahead and pause, work this one out, see what you come up with, and then we'll compare. All right, as you work this out, the missing side here should be 16. So again, if you came up with anything else, use self-analysis, go back through and see what it was that we did, where the error was in your math. Hey, the last thing we're going to deal with, again, and I just have one of these, but and we're going to deal with this one in class. But before we do that, let me back up just a little bit. I'm getting ahead of myself. What I want you to do right now is you can either tweet it or use today's meet. I want you to tell me 2 things that you have learned, specific things that you have learned so far in this lesson. In other words, don't just say I've learned Pythagorean Theorem. Be specific. Type 2 things that you have learned so far, and then type up one question. If you still have one question, what is it? Is there something that's still tripping you up? What is it? And that way we can talk about it. But you are to do that right now. Alright, as you look at this question, now it's all, you don't see any triangles, you don't see anything, we're applying what we know. How can I use the Pythagorean Theorem for measurement in real life situations? In other words, I'm applying here. It says Mark and Sarah start walking at the same point, but Mark walks 50 feet north, while Sarah walks 75 feet east. How far apart are Mark and Sarah when they stop? What I want you to do is go ahead. I want you to draw a picture. If you draw the picture, you'll see the triangle, and you'll be able to figure this out. So what I want is, I'm not going to work this one out right now. This will be one we actually, and I'll show you the answer here in just a minute. But I believe we may work this out in class. Draw this out and see what you come up with, and then we'll compare. Alright, I will tell you this. When you've worked this solution, and I decide I'm going to go ahead and I'll work this out because I've got another one I'm going to give you in class. When you work this out, if you look at it, Mark starts walking 50 feet north. Well, if he goes 50 feet north, so he's going north, but then Sarah walks 75 feet east. So I know 50 feet, 75 feet. And if we're looking, we see a pattern here. Forms a right angle. And I'm going to connect the two. So how far apart are they? Well, here I know I've got 50 feet. So my A and B form the right angle. 50 squared plus 75 feet squared is going to equal C squared. So in this case, I'm going to have some pretty big numbers here. 50 squared, I've got 2,500 plus, then I say 75 squared, 5,625. And when I add those together, I'm going to have 8,125, but I got to take the square root of that. So I take the square root of 8,125, and I come up with 90.1 feet. Now, we are going to have more problems like this in class, and I encourage you to draw pictures as you're given application with Pythagorean Theorem. And this is the tutorial. So once you've completed this, you need to go back to Schoology, go to the agenda, and look and see what your next assignment is and how we're going to be applying this.